Alright, so I made the mistake of increasing the resolution of the last two videos, and it's taking a long time to upload. Like, too long. Like, it's gonna take an hour. And I cannot do, I can't redo that. So I'm gonna have to just wait an hour. And unfortunately for you guys, doing an hour, waiting an hour. I mean, luckily, I think it was the easiest part of the trig test. It's just basic sine, cosine, tangent type stuff. It's a little bit of reciprocal functions, so not that big of a deal. This, to me, is the major component to it. And so I want to get this out as quickly as possible. All right. So this right here is essentially everything you need for your identities. All right. That's it. This is it. Oh yeah, so we got the reciprocal identities, which is just the 1 overs, okay? So just, keep in mind that sine x equals 1 over cosecant, but cosecant equals 1 over sine. They're just reciprocals of each other, right? So that's what this is. Quotient identities, this is very important because sine over cosine is used a lot, because sine over cosine is, tangent is used to calculate the altitude of things, if you remember from Algebra 2. Or did you guys do that? Maybe not. This year they did. But sine over cosine is, these are the basics, right? You always want things in terms of sine and cosine. These Pythagorean identities, these guys are the major three. These are the ones that are used. We almost use them every day in calculus. At least every other day, okay, in some way. And these guys show up a lot, so it's very important that you get your head around these, because they're all saying the same thing, all right? One is involved. It's just, it's the reciprocals that we're playing with here, right? And so you end up with these kind of quirky ones where tangent squared x plus 1 equals secant squared x, and that's just how it works. We don't have the, it's so boring to go into the proofs of why these work all the time, but they do. Unless you're a mathematician, there's no need for that. These double angles are used rarely, but I would say I've seen this one quite a few times in calc, though, and I've seen these three sometimes. I would actually say rarely, and this I've never seen in calculus. So I'm not going to test you on this guy, even though, just know, hey, there's a double angle of tangent out there too. So these three I want you to be aware of, okay? But sine of 2x is really the one that kind of shows up a lot, okay? Now this is the fun. Now you should have this on your note card. There's just absolutely no doubt about it. I'm not going to put this up on the screen, so find a little corner where you can put these identities on there, okay? Now with that said, what I want to do is I want to show you the worked out problems for the rest of the study guide. These have been worked out on an answer key, and what I'll do is I'm going to show them, and then you pause the video and take a look at it, alright? I'm not actually going to talk about them because I'm running out of time. There's a lot of other stuff I got to do tonight, so I want you to take a look at it. Now, if you want to go over any of this stuff before we start, we can do a quick questions, okay? But, it's just that it's kind of the final call here, all right? So here are the answers to 1 through 6, okay? Here's 1 through 6 on this sheet. And notice that they're pretty much one step. You know what? Actually, I'll talk a little bit about it. Okay, sine squared. Here, let me zoom in. No, I want to. You know what? You can just pause it from here. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and talk about it. Over here, sine squared times the cosecant x. Now notice they don't even bother with a multiplication or a dot or anything. The x is assumed to always be there, and these guys are multiplied. Now cosecant is defined. Look it up. Cosecant is 1 over sine. So there he is, 1 over sine. Cross one of them out, and you've got one left over. So it's sine being cotangent is cosine over sine multiplied by 1 over. So notice how they split those two apart. Okay, they split them apart, and cotangent is defined as cosine over sine, or right there. Okay, so we split them apart, and notice those guys cancel out. You got 1 over sine, but you know what? 1 over sine is this guy. 1 over sine is cosecant, and so on and so forth. I mean, honestly, it's, you just have to just be careful here and use the rules of the game to simplify the game. Cotangent squared plus 1 is, I know that that's an identity, so it's 1 over cosecant squared. What is 1 over cosecant? But sine. So if you got it squared, it's sine squared. This guy here, secant, secant 1 over sine, that is defined as tangent. This guy here, and and honestly, the test is going to be the same exactly. It's not going, there's no, it's simple stuff that you just have to remember that if this equals that, let's substitute and see what cancels out. All right, this guy right here is an identity. It's 1, so therefore sine times 1 is just sine, right? But then tangent is cosine. Well, this is actually the inverse of tangent, so that's actually cotangent. So the sine times cotangent is cosine over sine. Those signs cancel out. You got cosine, and so on and so forth. All right. Again, I'm gonna just scroll down, and you pause this so you can see how it works there. All right. Pause it. Okay, you've paused it. Next one. I just want to get this out there immediately so that, it's just too late. It's like almost 10 o'clock. So this is how these work out. And you can come in, talk to me real quickly, but pretty much this is... won't be as many as these, honestly. It'll be that first page is primarily where the questions will kind of gravitate towards. So that's that. Factoring is another issue. So if you see, I see 2 tangent squareds. So I'm going to take a tangent squared out of both. And if I took a tangent squared out of a tangent squared, I have 1. And if I took a tangent squared out of this, I have a cotangent. So the reason why I like this is because I know that's an identity. Now, since tangent squared is this, and this guy's this, those cancel out. I get 1 over cosine squared. 1 over cosine squared is secant squared. So, let's scroll down one more time. You can pause it here. Now this, I will put 1 of these on the test. 1 of these on the test. These are tougher, but try to make sense. You are pretty much foiling things in these, so I want to put this out to you. So this is an 8-minute video, so I'm going to stop here, and we're going to have to wait a while for the others. Just kind of a bad situation here.